The drink of the week this week is just a cup of tea. Cheers.
Mine's like lukewarm. Don't you hate that?
Yeah, I've got.
You know when it goes lukewarm and the milk separates a little bit?
Yeah.
Why is that happening?
I don't know, I wish it wouldn't do that.
What did you do?
It goes like mottled, doesn't it?
How hard is it to make a cup of tea, Stefan Mitchell?
How hard is it to drink it in time that it doesn't do that? Let's start this week
Apparently
off.
really hard.
Let's start this off on an argument. Hello, everyone.
Tea argument.
Yeah, I wouldn't put it past us. How you doing? I hope you're well. This week's video was supposed to be our French road trip. We just got back from a big French road trip. We did over 1,000 miles down to the south of France and back, but I overshot hugely. I mean, I was shooting every day and we were away for 11 days and we were shooting constantly, which means I need a bit longer to work on it. So hopefully that video will be up. Well, it will be up next Sunday. So this week will just be a normal video, I suppose.
You want me to carry you?
Vlogging with a 2-year-old is quite hard sometimes because
You have to grip around me, otherwise I can't carry you.
I have to try and carry him and film.
I can't carry you like that. What are you doing? He's just flopped his legs. This is not how we do this. Oh. Rufus is going through this stage where he just wants me to carry him everywhere all the time and he's so heavy. But if I don't carry him, he does this. Should I carry you now?
Yeah.
Okay.
So Hannah Max, explain why we're drinking tea and not alcohol.
Well, firstly, lockdown happened and our alcohol intake went up quite a bit. And then France, you're not going to not drink rosé every day. France,
No,
I
you
just
can't.
feel like my body's like, please, can I have a break? So Steph and I are doing 30 days off. It's our 7th day today, isn't it?
Yes, I think it is.
Day 7. So
Yeah.
we're a week down.
30 days of no drinking.
Yeah.
But
I've not missed it.
that wasn't the only detox we're doing or have done. We just finished another far more hardcore detox, didn't we? A juice fast. Anyway, roll the VT and I'll explain.
After the invention of the first modern juicing machine back in the 1930s, alternative health practitioners began recommending juicing as a cure for a number of ailments.
Juice cleanses are an estimated $200 million per year industry.
Fruits and vegetables are packed with vitamins and minerals, and juicing extracts those nutrients, making them easier to digest. Drinking juice is believed to flood the body with healing nourishment, also while flushing out toxins and waste. According to proponents, a juice cleanse supports the body's natural detox process. It clears the diet of sugar, caffeine, refined foods, salt. It's supposed to jumpstart a more healthful way of eating.
We just didn't see a lot of evidence to back some of the claims they made.
So we had 3 juices, 1 smoothie, and 1 ginger shot every day for 3 days. And that was it, nothing else.
I can't even tell you how hungry I am. I don't know if I'm going to make this. I've got 2 more days to go.
One of the juices we had activated charcoal in it, which apparently bind to the toxins so your body can get rid of them easier.
Hannah and I have activated charcoal for dinner tonight.
It was about £170 for both of us for 3 days, so it wasn't cheap.
Hannah said to me on the way up here, she's like, I'm never, ever doing this again.
I'm dying. I'm so grumpy.
Yeah, but your skin does look really
My
good.
skin, I mean, that's a treat. But
Oh, sorry.
The fact of the matter is the jury is still out on whether juice cleanses / juice fasts are actually that effective.
If you're healthy and you do a cleanse for 1, 2, or even 3 days, it's probably not harmful. But any longer than that just really isn't smart because they just don't contain all the nutrients your body needs.
What I do know for a fact is they are horrific, and I will never do one again.
Whoever says you should try a juice cleanse, give them a backhander. I don't feel any health benefits from it. Yeah, I'm skinnier, but that's just because I haven't eaten in 3 days. I don't see the point. I don't see why anyone does this. You should never do a juice cleanse.
I thought the hunger would kind of go a little bit, but it didn't. Everyone's like, oh yeah, you just forget about it. And I'm like, no. I think cooking...
Every waking moment you're
for
hungry.
me as well, because I still had to cook for the kids, it was harder because I was still cooking food and I was
You
still
were frying
around.
onions.
Yeah.
The worst thing to do when you're hungry.
Yeah, it was horrible.
All I could think about was food constantly. I was like, I was speaking to my sister and I was asking what she had for lunch. She was telling me about this curry she had. I was like, can you tell me exactly how the curry tasted? What did you get? What was your starters? What was a poppadoms like? What was a naan bread? Garlic naan? Wow, have you got a picture? Yeah, you have? Great, send it to me. Send me the picture.
Literally
She
food porn.
She actually sent me the pictures of her curry that she had. I was obsessed. I was on like Curry Hub most of the day. Yeah, I was obsessed with food. So that was hard going.
My skin was much better while we were doing it. I think it's because of lack of caffeine and alcohol. But now I've had a massive breakout, so I think I'm going to backtrack on that.
Okay.
And I never get like breakouts like this, so I'm a bit annoyed. I'm like, why did I not just keep the toxins in? They were fine where they were.
Yeah. I think toxins get a bad rap.
Now they're on the outside of my body. I'm like, no,
Yeah.
get back in.
We listened to a podcast when we were doing our road trip, and there was a guy talking about how whenever you complete a task, you create a new neurological link when the task is completed, whereas these links aren't fully formed if the task isn't completed. I don't know how true that is, or based in science that is, but that does give you a bit of extra kind of help to see a task through. So I think just having the mental fortitude to be able to see it through was a good thing, I guess. Another thing was the gratitude for food.
Oh yeah. Can I delete one of my good things and make that?
Stealing mine, okay. We can collab on this one. When you don't have food constantly available, you then realise how privileged and lucky you are to have access to everything. We are a few minutes from a shop which would sell us any kind of food that we want to buy, and that's such a lovely luxury to have. It kind of reestablishes your level of gratitude, I suppose.
I think also for me another good thing would be that now I feel like I'm able to manage my hunger a bit better, because I'm like, normally when I would get hungry like mid-morning and need to go home and eat, I'm like, this isn't hunger. What are you talking about, girl? This is nothing.
Yeah. I don't know if this is TMI. Is it TMI? Is that the word? TMI, too much information? Yeah. I'm down with the kids. But it does kill your libido, I find as well. Like because you're so hungry, in times of hunger, you probably don't want to procreate. So I'm thinking there's kind of some sort of neurological reason.
I think it's just because we're both grumpy and hungry.
Yeah, maybe that was it.
We'd just lie there and we'd be like, oh, halloumi fries.
Oh,
and sweet
halloumi
chili
fries.
sauce.
That's all we could think about.
Yeah.
Halloumi fries and Meat Feast Domino's pizza. That's all we wanted to
Still
get.
haven't had that.
No, we still need to
We
get
need
one
to
of those.
do that this week.
So anyway, 2 words. Never again.
Wouldn't recommend.
No, don't do it. You may have noticed this week's video is sponsored. First time I think we've been sponsored in about 9 or 10 months now. So yay. Thank you so much to this week's sponsor. It's one of our OG sponsors, Clark's. They wanted us to tell you about their new back to school campaign. Anyway, roll the VT.
Can I have those?
In a minute.
Why?
This week, we're super proud to be sponsored by one of our OG sponsors, the wonderful Clarks, who have launched their back to school campaign.
That's to measure your feet. Should we measure your feet now?
Wow.
Addie's mine.
Uh-huh.
But I got to measure my foot.
Make sure your child is wearing socks.
And wanted us to show you how easy it is to get your kids perfectly fitted for their school shoes without having to go into the stores. There are 3 simple steps.
Is that your bottom, Rufus Mitchellite?
Yeah.
1. You order the foot gauge online. 2. Using the foot gauge, you order the right size of shoes that you need. And 3. Receive the shoes and then speak to a Clark's advisor over Zoom who will help ensure that the shoes are a perfect fit.
I love school, sir.
Well, let's get your socks on first.
Hello.
Hi, nice to meet you. Yeah, so it's about 14 millimetres, but a thumb's width is absolutely fine.
Clark's work closely with UNICEF to support the education of vulnerable children by raising money through Shoes Share, an innovative donation programme that rehomes old or unwanted shoes.
Like them? They're comfy? You sure?
Obviously, he is a bit younger, so it is really important.
Huge love to Clark's for sponsoring this week's video. Everything you need to know about their back to school campaign, along with everything they're doing with UNICEF on their Shoe Share scheme, is all listed down below in the description, so go check that out when you get a sec.
It's weird how humanity adapts to these huge things. Like we've got an ability now to go through the whole process of fitting your kids' shoes through Zoom with using a Clark's representative. Even when we were taking the kids in to get their haircut, it was such a bizarre experience. Like if you would have shown yourself a year ago what taking your kid's haircut would look like, you wouldn't have believed how vastly different it was.
I just don't think anyone would have believed this time next year if we could have all had a little screen grab of like what was going on this year. Everyone would have been like, no way, that's stupid. Like that's so far-fetched.
But this gives me a perfect segue into the next feature piece.
Oh, how convenient!
Yeah, it's great, isn't it? Which is about how bad 2020 actually isn't. So roll the VT. Sometimes when I'm feeling a little bit melodramatic, I call these times like the worst time in history. Like, oh my God, could it get any worse? 2020 is the worst year in history. So I fell down a bit of a rabbit hole researching when the actual worst time to be alive was. I thought that'd be quite an interesting thing to unearth. So you might be thinking it was probably about 1349 when the Black Death came along, the deadliest pandemic in recorded history, and killed around about 200 million people. Well, it wasn't actually that. It wasn't even in 1520 when smallpox came along and ravaged the Americas, killing around about 60 to 90% of the original inhabitants. And it wasn't even in 1918 when the Spanish flu came along and killed about 50 million people. For the worst time in history, you have to go right back 536 AD. That, ladies and gentlemen, is the undisputed worst time you could have ever been alive. Well, the year started off with an inexplainable dense dark fog that drifted over Europe, parts of Asia and the Middle East and plunged everyone into a complete darkness, 24 hours a day, darkness. And that darkness lasted for nearly 2 whole years. And nobody knew why it was. Nobody knew where this darkness came from. What it turned out to be was a volcano that erupted in Iceland that just spewed out ungodly amounts of ash. And that's what caused it. Now, what happened with this dense dark fog was that global temperatures plummeted. It suddenly became the coldest decade in over 2,000 years. And because of that, crops died. Famine was rife. And this was only the start. The bubonic plague... The bubonic plague, that came along as well. That bubonic plague I was talking about, that killed 100 million people. I suppose the only way you could know what it would feel like to live in such abject darkness would be if you went to Woking on a day trip. Anyway, there is a light at the end of the tunnel. In your DNA somewhere is part of your ancestors who survived that shit. Like, they got through that. For you to be here listening to me talking about it. So that's impressive. You made us some pretty stern stuff. So when we get all upset that we can't go into our local bakery to get a bit of avocado on spelt rye bread because we forgot our face mask, we need to remember, hang on a minute, look what my ancestors had to deal with. But anyway, yeah, I just thought that would be an interesting thing to highlight, the worst time in history, 536 AD. Anyway, yeah, hope you found that interesting. Let's get back to the show.
1, 2. What comes after 2?
Play. Faster.
By the time you guys watch this video, Stefan is going to have a bloody scalp. And I'm not going to bludgeon him. Probably not allowed to say that.
I'm getting it done tomorrow. I have to get in a car and drive a couple of hours to Birmingham. To Birmingham to get my hair transplant.
Oh God, please stop.
Yeah, getting it done tomorrow, get my hair transplant tomorrow. It's not a big one, it's a teeny little one. They're just going to fill in a little bit there. So it's not like some massive, great big job. It's just going to...
I think Steph's about to turn 40, so he's having a bit of a midlife crisis and getting a hair transplant.
People say you should grow old gracefully. I'm like, I'm going to fight this age hardcore. Like, I'm not growing old gracefully. I'm not sitting back and letting it take me. I'm like, come on, this is a fight. And I'm gonna lose eventually, I know I am, but I'm not going to go down without a fight. And
so you're going to have a bloody scalp for the next how long?
I don't know.
Probably until your birthday.
Basically, no, it's going to be worse than that. What happens is they put it in, it all falls out, and then about 10 months later it grows back. So it's a long-term thing. So I'm going to film it all anyway. Actually, by the time you're watching this, I have filmed it. So anyway, let's roll the VT of me going to get my hair transplant. We got to look down.
Hang on. Are you putting that in this week's vlog?
Yeah, I am.
Okay.
See you later, Reba.
What about the BMG?
I'm imagining the procedure's going to last about 4 to 5 hours. I think that's how long it's going to take because it's such a small procedure. It's not like I've lost loads of hair up there. It's only a little bit there. I mean, Hannah says I don't need to and stuff like that. She's like, oh, you don't need to do it. No point. I don't mind. But I reckon secretly, underneath all of those platitudes, she harbours a lot of resentment for my receding hair. Looking at me thinking, look at that ageing old man. I could have done so much better. Well, after today, she'll be looking at me a lot differently.
I really wanted to give a 100% unbiased account of the whole hair transplant procedure with no obligations or restrictions on what I could or couldn't say. In order to do that, I paid full price and didn't receive any discount for this coverage. The only discount I did get was due to the fact that it wasn't a very big job. The total cost was about £4,000, which I paid in 2 installments over a few months. I found a company called FUE Clinics, and my surgeon was a lady called Tatiana Mamatonova. She was great, but it wasn't just her that does the procedure, it's a whole team that's involved. It transpired that they've worked on a number of fellow A-list celebrities before, so luckily their hands didn't tremble too much when they worked on my scalp. The only criticism I would say is when I first arrived at the surgery, they asked me for my signature several times. When I asked them who it was for, they said it was just for their records. I think perhaps asking celebs for their signature was a little bit cheeky. Yeah, it's just a signature, you might think, but it's also a very lucrative side hustle for someone who wants to sell it to the highest bidder on eBay. I mean, if Anthony Costa from Blue's signature can rake in $15.99 for some punter, then wow, someone's going to be cashing in on this West Country's answer to Casey Neistat.
They've got to shave all my hair off. I think it's going to take half a day of extracting all of the hairs out the back, and then half a day to put the hairs in the balding bits in there. Dr. Tatiana has just done my line, so that's what my new hairline will look like.
Before I go any further, I just want to give a warning to anyone who might be a bit squeamish. I'd say close your eyes until I say it's okay to open them again, because this part is a bit graphic. So here's how it works. Firstly, I have several injections of local anaesthetic to numb the part of my head they call the donor area. This is the area of the head that always grows hair, so like the back and the sides. They use something like a miniature drill to make holes around the hair follicles, and then they use tiny forceps to extract each one. They extracted a total number of 1,783 from my head. The hair grafts are then sent over to another part of the team that separate them out into 3 separate dishes depending on how many hairs are growing out of each follicle. Normally 1, 2 or 3.
I'm halfway through the procedure. They have taken out loads of hair from the back and the sides, and now the next part is implanting them in the front bit here.
Now they have the extraction part done, the next part is putting them back in. They do this by first numbing the area that you're losing your hair, and then they make 1,783 holes, like plant pots, I guess, like holes to put the plants in.
And this is how they implant them. They get the follicles on their hand and they open up the holes that they've made, the incisions, and then they get another tweezer and they just push them in, and then they close up, and that's it.
Because it's numb, it doesn't hurt at all. The only thing that was a bit weird is the sound of the skin ripping as they made the incisions. That was a bit grim. But other than that, I just kicked back, relaxed, and impressed the team with anecdotes of the time I made H from Steps chuckle at a vagina-shaped canopy at an Oakland furniture press gig. Sadly, they had to tell me to stop talking because they needed to concentrate. So now I had all of the holes. The next part was planting all of those 1,783 follicles in, one by one. Oh, those of you closing your eyes, you can open them, it's done. And now I just need everything to heal, and then everything's good, all the hair's gonna fall out that they put in, and then it's gonna regrow. It's gonna take about 10 months basically for the actual effects to show. So yeah, it's just a waiting game now. I wanna say a massive, great big thank you to Tatiana and her amazing team for a really enjoyable day in the theatre. You guys were great. Anyway, back to the show.
Right, preheat the oven. 180. Put your cupcake cases in the bun tray. Well done, Rufus. 30 millilitres of cold milk. That looks about right. Well done, Rufus, you did it.
Yeah.
Woohoo! I'm gonna add that milk. Is it all in?
The last one.
Then we're gonna add the egg. 1, 2, 3, crack. 1, 2, 3, split. Yeah. Mix, mix, mix.
Mix, mix. Mummy, is it almost ready? Yum, yum. I'm going to smell it from here.
Can you?
Let me muzzle it so it feels better.
Yeah, mash it all up. Gosh, you're good at that. Can I have a turn?
Yeah? This left for you and left left for Dorsey. What a lovely dog.
You okay?
Can I not out now?
Are you finished? Do you want me to do this bit?
Yeah.
13 minutes, Rufus.
Anyway, we should probably address that coughing and spluttering elephant in the room, old Mr. Scallywag COVID-19. Address that bad boy. Sort of quite a prevalent thing right now. Bit of good news on that front. We get to eat out half price on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesdays.
Never mind all the dying people stuff.
No, I do care about the dying people, but you know, you do get
Got to
out.
do your bit to boost the economy.
You do get out. You know, you do get half price food. You know, how much is that worth? You know, is it worth a life? Is it worth I don't know.
Just stop talking, please.
So I'm obviously joking. Anyone who can't take a joke, that's a joke. That's a joke. But no, the silver lining to this is that we get a couple of quid off some food on the 3 days nobody ever actually goes out to eat in participating restaurants. I don't know how that's going to help with the obesity problem, because
God.
with everyone just going out.
It's a can of worms. This conversation.
This is a can of worms. I've got to tread very carefully, but there is going to be that 60. I think 60% of the people in the UK are obese or overweight, and when you go out to eat, food isn't labelled. Although Boris Johnson is going to start apparently labelling food with calorie counts. What do you think about that? Do you think it's a good idea? Bad idea?
I personally don't agree with it. I think it can encourage some bad habits in people that already suffer with eating disorders and have that kind of mentality where they kind of do exercise for a number count on something. Like, I just don't agree with that.
I know what you mean. You want to go out and relax.
Yeah,
and
when
not
you
have to be
eat
like,
out,
oh,
you want to
God,
enjoy what you're eating.
Yeah.
You don't want to think about numbers, and I just don't agree with that type of mentality towards food. I think food should be enjoyed as balanced. I think they need to educate people more on how to balance their diet, and maybe I don't know, it's a can of worms, isn't it? So
I don't think it's up to anyone to educate somebody. I think it's up to people to educate themselves with that sort of thing.
I want to eat my chocolate mousse, and I don't want to know how much calories is in my chocolate
and
mousse.
in saying that, in America, they actually do that as standard. They label everything with the calorie count, and they've done health studies. They've done kind of studies on it to see how effective it is, and it's actually not had. It's had a negligible. Can you say that word? Negligible effect on public health.
The boys and I are out on a little afternoon walk down to the shops. They found a blackberry bush, which they're very happy about. Nice.
Yeah. Have they got a rock inside them?
No seeds in there.
And just let them.
We get this random magazine delivered to us each week. It's just called The Week Junior. It's kind of like what's going on in the world, current affairs, kind of boiled down so kids can understand it. They have a feature in it here. Take the NASA Lunar Loo challenge. So basically they're offering £28,000 to anyone that comes up with a toilet that astronauts can use on the moon. That's such a fun idea for a kid to get involved with. So I'm going to link all the stuff down below of how you can do that. Grayson's he believes he's going to win. He's like totally convinced he's going to win with his idea because he's come up with this really unique concept.
When you poo in it, these pipes send it into a catapult, then the catapult holds it back. Then the poo goes flying off into the sun. Then it gets destroyed by. Basically,
after the astronauts defecate, it will catapult their feces to the sun, and then the sun will just burn up the feces, and that sorts out all the waste. Quite a good idea, to be honest. I don't know about the logistics of doing that, if it's actually feasible. But yeah, that's his idea. He's been busy sketching out on my Wacom there behind me, done a picture of an astronaut doing a shit on the moon, he's convinced he's going to win. So if there's any parents watching who are doing a bit of homeschooling that want to kind of come up with some interesting ideas to keep the little rugrats entertained for a while, I think this is a really fun activity. Anyway, yeah, links all down below if you want to go and check it out, but I thought a few of you parents might be interested in that. Anyway, back to the show. Oh, it smells delicious. Wow, Ruthie, can I have some?
No.
Should we put those on?
Yeah.
And maybe some chocolate icing.
Yeah. Can you put these on?
Look at this.
First? And put these on
Very nice
first.
for you. Lovely.
Can we eat it yet?
We can when we've put all the icing on all the cakes.
Can I put this
Go
one
on then,
now?
stick him on.
Can I look the spoon?
Can I have a little bit? That was good. Nice. Cheers.
This.
Which one do you want to eat?
That one.
Okay, take that one then.
I need the biggest one. This is the big one.
I might just eat this.
Don't!
Why?
Because it's poisonous.
Oh
And I want Bob as well now. Yeah?
no! You watch Paw Patrol with the Paw Patrol cakes. Okay. You gonna take those ones?
Yeah?
Okay.
I think this is the biggest one.
Yeah. Who's licking the case? Oh yeah, baby.
This
Cheers.
is the biggest one.
Cheers. Want a bite of mine as well? High five. Well done, Baker.
She said, hold on. It's not as if your body's gonna die, son. Every cell and atom will be someone. And I said, how long? However long it takes until your love's strong. Even if all you're living for is someone. And it was there, in that moment, that I'd see somewhere another life is waiting on the other side of me. And it was there, in that darkness, that I knew one day the day blind stars become a part of you. She said, hold on. It's not as if your body ever dies, son. Every cell and atom will be someone.
We've got some recommendations for you before we go. We've got
Yes.
one main recommendation, which is a TV show. It's called. It's a British TV comedy drama, and it is called.
I may destroy you.
How'd you smash your phone?
I don't know. How did last night end?
It was written and directed by a lady called Michelle Cole, I think her name is. Super talented. It's very current. It's very cutting, harrowing. Some parts are very sad.
Hang on, written, directed,
Fun.
and acted.
Yeah.
in-
I mean, she's like a Phoebe Waller-Bridge.
Isn't it?
She's
What do they
amazing.
call it? A triple thread or something in
Yes.
acting terms.
God, man.
It's a very uncomfortable watch in places, but I
Mm.
think it's important to put yourself in that position where it does make you uncomfortable.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
you question more your own values and your own like belief systems and
That's so true.
the way that you've been brought up, and it's very good watch, and I think it's probably quite important of our time. I think that's something that people end up like studying this program. And
I May Destroy You. It's on BBC, I think HBO as well. BBC and HBO, I think, both commissioned it. I can't remember who did it, but yeah. Anyway, check that out if you haven't already seen it. It's amazing. She's done it with so much grace, and it's worth a watch. Right, okay, we've got to go now because Grayson's little friend's coming over in about 3 minutes for a sleepover.
Yeah, and we're not drinking.
Which is his best friend, apparently.
So normally, it sounds really bad, but normally on a sleepover evening, if we have like kid, it gets quite like intense and like they're so pepped up and like. And so normally when it's like normal bedtime, I'll have a glass of wine just to like numb the pain a bit. But we're not drinking, so it's going to be.
What are you going to do instead? Oh,
try and meditate for like 10 minutes.
Right, thanks for watching, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. Yeah, face masks available now if you want to make your face look sexy while you navigate a global pandemic. Look at that.
Did you ever think that like we'd all be looking for face masks this year?
No, God no.
Does anyone else ever think that sometimes you'll just wake up and it would all have been a really weird communal nightmare that everyone's had together? Imagine if there was some like weird trance that the whole world had just like been under, and then we're all like, oh, that was weird. Never mind. Back to normal.
Yeah. Anyway, thanks for watching. See you all next week.
Bye, guys.